University. We're coming up for our Cape accreditation visit, and so we are trying to probably just extend the lanes of communication to update our faculty and adjuncts to assisting and helping us get through this process just to know what's happening. And there's also an opportunity if you like to ask questions about the state of the school and things that we're doing, how you fit in, things you like clarity on. It's a way of just having those conversations, but it's not mandatory for you to just join just to sit there. If you have things to do, feel free to do those things. But if you just like to connect or ask one pertinent question and have it answered and then log off, it's fine with me. So it's just a way of making sure I am available to folks virtually and get to know people a little bit more and get to involve, everybody in the mission and vision of the School of Education. So just want to thank you. I'll take this opportunity to thank you for the amazing work you do to support our candidates and our programs. So thank you. Not take up your time. And it's exactly 6 o'clock, so my piece is done. I'll turn it over to Dale. And Dale, thank you for the amazing work you do with adjuncts, coaches, and assessors, and all of that stuff. We are really proud of the MELS program. I think it's the largest program in the entire university. And we are almost 20% of the university, and the MELS program is almost 50% of what we do. So I could sit here with a degree of certainty say the MELS is at least 10% of this entire university. And I'll be accurate in saying that. And the success of that program is also about leadership. And you'll teach about leadership. Leadership would make or break things. And Dale has been able, Dr. Lam has been able to pull this together. And with your support and the things we've done, we've been able to make the MELS program the best or one of the best on this campus. And I guess you've all heard that the General Assembly is thinking of bringing back the graduate pay. And, as part of this whole piece and what it would mean for North Carolina and changing the trajectory of our recruitment and those who now will look to ways to come in for graduate studies. So we are prime and ready, and we are good to go, and we have the capacity to handle another 700 students. It's job security for all, and probably open some more new faculty lines. So the more you do, the better it gets, the safer, and, we're sitting there making sure we're all happy. So thank you very much for what you do, and we appreciate everything that you've done. And I would sign off saying good night, and unless you have a question, which I know I could save for the Ask the Dean. Thank you, Dr. Lam. Have a great evening with your team.
Thank you, Dr. Bull.
Goodbye.
I want to thank Dr. Bull. He's always supportive and always asking. He asks about you folks regularly and what we're doing to make sure that you're up to speed and feel a part. So he truly does follow up about you folks on a regular basis.
So thank you. I'm signing off.
Again, make sure that your students, again, it's not a mandatory session with Dr. Bull. It's just his usual Ask the Dean, State of the Union, if folks want to come in online with him, and that'll be on Wednesday week at from 7 to 8 on the 20th. Also, I'd like the personal point of privilege here to ask you to say a prayer, if you would, for Lori Nanny. I don't know if any of you know Lori. Lori is one of our full-time folks. She does the birth to kindergarten, the BK program. Lori's been with us for a couple years now. She's having surgery today. Please say a prayer for her. She's always supportive of us, and we're supportive of her, and she does an excellent job. And we're all, just say a prayer for Lori if you know her or not. Let's see. I'm doing a recommendation for Philip. Writing letters. It's getting to be that season. Please remember at 7 tonight, I'll be back online with all of the 605 students doing the spring uh, references and talking about references and job interviews. So I'll be doing those tonight. Dr. Wilson sent out the link, and we'll all be joining her link later at 7 tonight, where I'll be doing interviewing. I'll also remind students, just like this one, if they need letters of recommendation, if they need letters that come to me, if there's something about completion, that goes to Seth. Seth does completion notifications to school districts about, can we hire somebody? Seth does those. I do the letter of recommendations to get into the program or get into an applicant pool or for job candidacy. I do that. And that segues me into task stream. You notice we've had Seth has figured out how to go in and put a line in if people are having problems with task stream to get in touch with them. Everybody should be up and going on task stream now. Everybody should be in. All the new people. We did the new folks town hall Thursday night where we covered their shells. I want to look at them right quick. We've got everything moved now like I want it, where 601 has APTEL competency analysis, School of Ed disposition. 603 has OMA skip dispositions. 605 has CAP SIOP, School of Ed dispositions and competency analysis. The final competency folio, which has to be imported in, and then the internship log. Please remind your students not to put their internship logs in and submit them until the very last semester at the end. Please remind students, don't upload your competency folio until the last semester at the end when you have all 3 rounds in. Otherwise, they have to do a new one each semester. Please remember that competency analysis comes from the written competency analysis in the task. For example, the first round of competency analysis comes from APTEL Task 5 and APTEL Task 4. This is where they write them. And as a reminder, they do not write narratives in the competency folio. They might write a sentence of explanation, but you can't argue your way to competency. You have to show the artifacts. I went over that with students last week again. I continue to get students who tell me, but my coach said I had to write. Your coach is wrong. I don't want written narratives in the competency folio. There is a place for it. It's called competency analysis. Now, I get straddled by the CAPE people over this. The competency folio was set up separately because of artifacts. This is an evidence artifact program. The evidence is the written narrative. Artifacts are things. We separated them out into a separate competency folio for CAPE. They only want to see things. They want to see pictures, agendas, minutes, videos, screenshots. They want to see products that were produced as a result of the work that they did as interns, not another narrative that argues for competency. So make sure I don't be getting more emails about, I've been told to write narratives for my competency folio. No, you write narratives for your competency analysis. That's why it's analysis versus portfolio. So this is the new add-on one with the student view. Again, I'm in the student view, and this is the new one for the regulars. Make sure it's up, and you can see it's over the 5 semesters. So these are in. If all of your students, double check and make sure that all of your students are in, even the returning students, some of the ones that are readmits, make sure that all of them are in as well. Some of them, their accounts were expired. We've been working with those individually. Sarah's been working with one. She wrote a contract. Student came back today. Danny's done some. We've been doing individual Zoom sessions. Some of them I let them stay in their old DRFs. Others I had new DRFs created for them. But make sure all of your students, that either you coach or you teach, make sure that they have a task stream account that's active. I don't want to have to get into that later on where they didn't have task stream. All right. So task stream is up and running. Everything seems to be good. If we can just keep Blackboard up, it was wonky 2 days last week. When students get these kind of crazy messages, sometimes it's the internet provider that they're using. Sometimes it's which whether it's Chrome or Safari, it's which internet service they're using. And sometimes it's just Blackboard's not working properly. So one of the things, make sure that when you get issues students are having with TaskStream, if you don't know, or Blackboard, either one, if you don't know what they are, get them to me as quickly as we can. If it's something with TaskStream, if it's a technical problem, get it to Seth. Students will complain, but then they'll sit around, and then later on we get behind. So make sure that that our technology is working as best as we can have it work. Bob O'Neill is our dedicated Blackboard person. He suggests Safari if they're having problems with Blackboard. He says it works the best if they're having problems with Chrome. TaskStream works best with Chrome. TaskStream won't work hardly at all with Microsoft Edge with Windows 10. So they need to be either using Chrome, just like I'm on Chrome right now for Blackboard, but then I switch back to Edge when I'm working in Blackboard. So I have 2 browsers open at one time, and I get the best performance that way. Again, I use Microsoft Edge for Blackboard. It seems to work for me the best. I use Chrome with TaskStream, and I just switch back and forth. You might want some students. Bob says Safari works really good with Blackboard. I've not had as good a luck with Safari as I have with Edge. It replaced the old Internet Explorer. All right. Questions so far? Okay. All right. Let's see who we got. We got Rachel and Malia. All right. And so we've got John Shepard and Robin Hamilton, who have joined us. They're interning with Danny and Jamal in 601. That seems to be going extremely well. I've been online with them. Now I've turned them loose on Tuesdays, and I'm just doing some Thursdays. And I check in on them on the back half of their class. That group is doing extremely well. I've been very pleased with the pacing of 601 add-on for the last 2 or 3 semesters. It seems to be going well. I hope that you folks in 603 are finding folks more ready when they come out of 601.
Yeah.
So any suggestions that you have for that group? Again, it's Danny and Jamal, Robin and John. Any suggestions you have for them, the leader of that pod? So send them to them if there are things that would make it easier when you get them to 603 when they get to 603. But the pacing seems good, and we're not sending a whole bunch that are behind. One of the things that I'm going to start exploring now that I have established that we can do an audit. We've got 2 students who are auditing this semester for the first time ever. Gardner Webb's allowing a graduate student to audit. Some readmits that already took the classes but were behind on their portfolio. So they've established a portfolio fee. So what I'm going to start doing is hopefully in the fall, is when we have students who, especially coming out of 601 add-on, who are so far behind, like Barbara had some this past fall, instead of writing contracts and doing incompletes and driving ourselves crazy, I'm going to attempt to drop them out of their 603 class and have them audit 601 and go back and do the work again that they missed. We've got one doing that right now. And we're going to assess them. We're going to try to get out of the incomplete business. We're down to just a few of those. But that's where we're headed with those, and we're tracking down some of these 699s. We're doing contracts with them. We don't have a lot of them left from over the years, but they pop up forever. I had one pop up this semester from 2011. So, but the use of the audit's going to be very helpful for students who have done the course but didn't get the evidence work in. We're going to start doing audits with them. I think that's by far a better way to go than to try to put them on incomplete. Now, if they're close, if they've just got a little bit to do, we can still do incompletes. But incompletes were never designed for students who were, the bulk of the work from the class didn't get done. So we're gonna do audits with them. All right, so that's where we are on that. I've got interviewing tonight. I told you I didn't have a lot. I didn't send out anything because I just wanted to just double check with everybody, mostly see how things are going. Malia and I are cooking up a scheme where we're going to bring us a person in hopefully this summer, and we're going to be looking at upgrading our 602 class and make it more school-based assessment tied to EVOS. We hadn't upgraded 602 since I did it years ago, and I added EVOS to it then, but it's not the centerpiece. It's just one module. I'd like to look at assessment with EVOS as the centerpiece, and so we're going to be working on that this summer. Malia and I, we've got a person that we're going to bring in to help us with that. I know Steve is looking at Steve Stone is looking at 605 to do some things. Have any of you in 603 started your case studies yet? Any feedback on those?
I start this week.
We introduce it tomorrow night.
Okay. I've already done 3 with my doctoral group, those 3. And they've gone extremely well so far. Not because I picked them, but I just got a really good group. The EDCI doctoral, both doctors and ABDs that I work with, that Steve and I, the new program we're doing, I've been doing these case studies with them, and they have gone extremely well. I've been very pleased with them. But I'll be glad to get your feedback. They shouldn't be too high level. The doctoral students have dug a lot deeper and done a lot more legal research. So it's gone extremely well with those, and so I've been happy about that. I know Steve is working on some new case studies for 605. I know he's working with Rebecca to add some new things in. It's time to upgrade from the old stuff that I had the last time it was done, and so we're working on that. Dr. Sanders has upgraded 604 already. Of course, we continue to look at that. So Danny and his group has upgraded 601. So I know it's a continuous process, but I feel good. Task Stream is pretty steady. It's been the same format for 2 years now. Blackboard shells are pretty much the same format. We're just upgrading the content a little bit. I don't see any major changes on the horizon in terms of a different looking DRF or a different looking shell for Blackboard. Looking just to maintain consistency and get better at what we do. Not looking at anything new. But, I'm looking at maybe a companion track for an organizational leadership master's, especially if master's pay comes back. I'll be rolling that out immediately, and won't do it as a separate program. We'll offer it through this program if master's pay comes back, because that way we can take people who aren't in public school, and a bunch of them. And we can take people in public school who don't want to be administrators, or we can take people in private schools, charter schools, community colleges, police, fire, public service, town employees, county employees. We can take those kind of people in an organizational master's and run it in the same format as just a program option. If the master's pay comes back, we'll be on that immediately. We've got 2 new programs running. Well, we've re-recruited students back in, but we've also got the new program at EDCI. That seems to be going well going forward. I've already recruited a person, one of our adjuncts, who will be taking that program over in the fall if that cohort makes in Charlotte. It's done in a doctoral format, of course, which low residency weekends. So I've got a person that lives in Charlotte that will take that over. I'm going to train her this summer. We are going to have a cohort this summer. Looks like we're going to make one in the fall as well. So that's going to be a going forward program. I don't know if it'll be every semester or every other or once a year, but that's a big revenue generator because that's a 12-hour block. So 24 students is 48 in that. So we got 48 FTEs out of that one. Just this spring, plus the 20 that we recruited back in. And so not only are we the biggest program on campus, we generate a lot of extra revenue just standing around the water cooler kind of thing. The next water cooler thing is we're going to bring in this OL track. That's a non-licensure if the master's degree passes. And that'll be a lot more money. All right. Steve, you got anything?
Hang on, let me. I'm here.
Okay, we can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me. Okay, I thought I was on a thing. I just want to remind everybody that if you've completed your clinical visits, to go ahead and send me that assurance form. Just send that straight to my email, and it's really one form for everybody you visited. Just say, I, Steve Stone, visited all my candidates. Here are the ones I had a problem with. And if you particularly know of any that dropped, it might be good to add those down on the bottom so I can double check with Seth to make sure that they've been dropped from our rolls. But I think from what I'm hearing that most of our visits have been done. Thank you all for doing that. And for those of you who kind of last minute kept getting them, next year I've got a plan in place to keep that from happening. But I really do appreciate you. I appreciate, plans. I appreciate your patience and all of that. Thank you. Just give me the assurances and the way you do your payroll, the way you've done it in the past. If you want to send it to me, I'll take it over to payroll. If you want to just go ahead and send it in on your own. If you send it to me, though, make sure your signatures are on it because that's a problem if I don't have signatures. But just do it the way you've been doing it. But if you want me to walk it over, make sure it has a signature to it.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Anybody else have anything? Dr. Sanders, I didn't see her. She was with us. Anybody else have anything? We got Barbara's at a meeting. Danny's at a meeting. We got several at meetings tonight. Anybody else have anything? I appreciate Steve keeping up with y'all in the clinicals this year. Hopefully we'll do a better job serving you.
It's a bear. I know why Dale gave it to me.
Well, I had to give you something to do. I mean, they hired you for that.
I know. I had nothing to do. I appreciate that too, Dale.
I know. I mean,
But at least the group that you had working with you were great. You guys were really great. Thank you.
They do well. We seem to get through, but it's always a struggle when we don't get the names and students drop out. They enroll so late this spring. The graduate people, they blame the KTA and KTA blame the graduate people. I don't know. As I told you on January 5th, it wasn't good that we had the majority of our students weren't even registered yet on January 5th. That's not a good thing. They don't seem to understand that really affects our ability to get the names and the addresses out to the folks so that you can get started on your visits. And Steve's been very patient with that, but that's been a nightmare this semester. It's been, we ran the list the first day of classes and wasn't about half the students on it.
Yeah, it was like 70.
Yeah, and then of those, I think about 10 or 12 of them were wrong.
Yeah,
they were EDCI doctorals and returning students.
They were. It was a mess.
On the first list, I mean, it's been a struggle this semester. I don't know. I've engaged a conversation with folks about what we can do going forward when we get to the fall. But hopefully, the issue with the fall is Christmas and New Year's is not right before, and people tend to want to go home the first week in December and not come back until first week in January, and I'm not sure that that's a real good idea in terms of getting students registered. We don't tend to have this problem in the fall, but we'll see. But I'm already engaged a conversation to sit down and meet with the parties involved about what we can do to make sure that this doesn't become the norm going forward. I mean, there's not a lot we can do about what happened this year, but that just can't be how it works every year. You don't have to fall off the same bridge every time you come to it. You can make a better plan and be a little better prepared. All right, if nobody else has anything, again, say a prayer for Lori Nanny. She's a special person. We just love her to death. I go over and sit, and she's got one of the little mill houses that they fixed over on the university loop next to the graduate school. I go over and sit down with the littles and play with them every once in a while. Kind of helps me through the day sometimes. So say a prayer for her. She's good. She's a good egg. All right, I will see you all in a couple of weeks. I'll put out a notice of when we're going to meet again. I won't book it right now because we got some things coming up with the university. But I'll get back to you in a couple of days when we'll try to meet again. We've got some other issues and things coming up, some other programs. But I appreciate all you do and what you do for students. If you have issues or problems, call me, email me. If you have something with visits, get in touch with Steve or me. Make sure that we get all that sewn up if we can this week. All right. I'll see you soon. Everybody have a good week. Remember, I'll be back on at 7 doing the interviewing tonight. I'll see you then.
Bye, Dale.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. How do I end the meeting?